Alright guys, so this is going to be a quick tip video on tritone substitutions and why I think they're a really useful tool when you're comping. So the tritone substitution is exactly what it sounds like. It's a tritone. And so what is it a tritone from? Well, often when we do a 2-5, 2-5-1, and I'm in C major right now, so you can play along, we'll do D minor 7, G dominant 7 off the E string on the 3rd fret, and then C major 7. Now, there's an alternative to going to this G dominant 7. The alternative is doing D minor 7, D flat dominant 7, C major 7. And now what that's doing is it's giving us a little more cohesion because instead of doing that jump, we're just going chromatically down to the tonic, right? We're going, right? The less movement, the better in a lot of situations. And so let's talk about the reason this works. I'm going to give you sort of the complex reasoning, not really that complex, and then I'm going to make it a lot simpler. So you might be thinking, well, how does this D flat dominant 7 chord come into play? The D flat dominant 7 is exactly 3 tones, or a tritone, away from the 5 chord. So if we take our 5 chord, which in this case is a G7, right? And we move exactly 3 tones, in other words, 3 whole steps above from the G, we get this D flat. Now, when we play the D flat as a dominant 7, we come to realize that the 3rd and the 7, so F and B, are exactly the same 3rd and 7 as the dominant 7. Okay, now that sounded a little confusing, so let me make it a little simpler. When doing a 2-5, instead of jumping to that G7, take the D minor 7, or whatever your minor 7 chord is, so take the 2 chord, which is a minor 7, lower the 2 chord exactly a half step and make it a dominant 7, and that right there is your 5 chord substitution. So let's do it in a different key. Let's do it in E flat. So in E flat, you have F minor 7, right? To B flat dominant 7, to the tonic E flat, right? But let's employ the tritone sub. So let's lower, let's go a half step down from this F minor 7 and make it an E dominant 7. Right, one more time. Okay, and so that's what the tritone sub is. You could look at it a number of ways, right? You could see it as, you could see this E7 as just being 3 tones away from the dominant 7 chord, or you could just look at it as you're lowering the 2 chord down a half step. I think that's the best way to look at it. And that's today's tip, and I'll do some more in the future.